Welcome to The Simple Fix, a myth-free movement podcast from Keza Wellness. I'm Kerryn, your host, a coach who blends strength, Pilates, and pain science so that you can move well, feel great, and live boldly without the hype. Welcome back to another episode of The Simple Fix. I'm your host, Kerryn, and I'm joined in studio today with the lovely Thalia Burt. I am super excited to have her as a guest. I feel like throughout my younger career, she was someone that I watched. We have a little bit of crossover within our timeline, which is fab. And I know that this is going to be just such a great interview, such a great conversation. There's just so much to get into, so we're going to go right ahead.
Yay!
So Talia, thank you so much for making the time to be here with me today. So I think go ahead, introduce yourself, let us know who you are now, what you're doing, and then we'll talk about how we got there.
Yeah, so my name's Talia, as you very beautifully said. I am also Cape Townian from South Africa, ex-performer. I am now officially retired from the world of performing arts. Dance and singing was always my thing. And I now run what has become a very successful online coaching business for performers across the globe. So I run a company called the Bulletproof Dancer, and that's now my main bread and butter and what I do, coaching.
Amazing. And you say, so Bulletproof is specifically for performers.
Correct.
And is that mostly because you were a performer yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
1,000%. I created, and I'm sure we'll get into it, we'll get into the weeds, but I created the very thing that I wish I had when I was performing. I think there's such a massive gap in the market where performers don't get taught how to look after themselves. You get taught how to be literally every other person in the history of the world ever. You know, choosing characters and becoming that character is literally our job. But we don't know how to be and look after ourselves, or at least I didn't. So,
and that obviously has a massive effect on the success of your career, the longevity of your career. And we forget that, like, your body is still your body. So after that career, what pieces are you left with to kind of pick up?
What joints are still working?
And
how can we utilize them properly?
Amazing. Okay, so you're now running Bulletproof, and that's your main entity. And tell me about when you left Cape Town, you came over to the UK. How long has that been now?
Oi, oi, oi. Okay. Strap in, folks. So I left Cape Town in 2017. I had just come back from a performing arts job. What was it? I was doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Love that one.
We had just come off a tour in, I think it was New Zealand. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I think I'm done. And I will never forget, I was sitting on my friend's sofa. They knew that I was looking at like corporate jobs. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get
How old were you at this point?
I cannot remember.
You started your career quite young.
I started young. Yeah. Like, dropped out of high school.
Child prodigy.
I know. Just childhood trauma. No, I dropped out of school at 15, but I booked CATS when I was about to turn 18. So I was still in like my 17th year. But yeah, 2017, whatever I was age-wise back then. Don't ask me to do the math. Drop out.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, left Cape Town with the hopes of trying again. I was literally about to get into corporate work again. And my best friend booked me a ticket for London that I couldn't afford. And he said, I've spoken to your uncle and you're going to go and stay with them for a little bit and you're going to give it another go. You're not giving up. This is not going to be your story, not your journey. I was like, yeah, right. The West End in my dreams.
Yes.
So I moved over in 2017. And look, I'm not going to lie. London like chewed me up and spat me out over and over again, like a little baby bird. It was
I feel
bad.
Like pre-COVID London was also like so much more intense than what it is now. So, I mean, that must have been a shock.
I get, like, look, the world of performing arts, you know this, like, it's a scary world to be a part of in itself. Yeah. I think then, and look, I don't want to like blow smoke up my own ass, but like to move countries, to like be removed from your home environment with your people that you know and love. Like, yes, I was lucky to have a member of my family here that took me in.
But it's so different. I mean,
it is.
anyone who even just leaves their hometown, never mind their home country.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the things you think it is. You think, oh, you're far away, you're going to be homesick. No, it's like, you got a flat tire, you've got no one to call. You don't know, you just don't know, you're not comfortable. There's no givens, there's no automatics. There's you also don't have a reputation at all.
That was the biggest thing. Yeah.
No one can vouch for you. You don't know anyone. You're literally just alone.
I literally did not know what I was going to do. And here's I will never forget it. I was on that flight. I paid, I think it was 17 Rand, which is I don't even know if that's even a pound, but I was like, oh my gosh, my whole 17 Rands are going to be gone, to pay for Wi-Fi so that I could send out emails to people that I was I kind of knew but didn't really know. I was sending out emails left, right and center. Ended up getting in contact with an agency that I was recommended. It was a brand new agency. I think they were desperate for people. So they were sure, we'll have a meeting with you. But straight from the airport, I dragged my suitcase on the Piccadilly line all the way into Green Park, stropped through Mayfair and knocked on the door of Mahiki, which is now closed down, by the way, on Dover Street. And I said, I need a job.
Hi, I need a job.
And I was working at the club the next day because they needed people.
Yeah.
So that was my experience of moving to London.
Honestly, anyone who lives in London, if you're still in the phase of your life where you have to take that Piccadilly line home because you're not yet at the phase of your life where you're getting in an Uber or someone is picking you up, just strongs to you.
Yeah.
It does get better. But those are humbling moments that you will never forget.
You're why is no one helping me with my suitcase that weighs 32 kgs?
Yeah. How am I supposed to mind the gap
with
this suitcase that's bigger than me and my backpack?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Rough old times. Rough old times.
So, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I'm
yeah.
Those Piccadilly trips are terrible.
No, they're disgusting. But
you're also sad and scared. And scared. Fighting for your life.
Yeah, a little bit excited. Are people nice? I don't know. What's happening?
Just helping.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started working
in a club.
As a hostessy vibe.
I started out as a runner. So I was Mahiki started out as a late evening restaurant situation, and then everyone would migrate to the club down under, which was duff clubs. It was hectic. So I was literally running, collecting empty plates and putting them on the thing that you push the button and then it goes down to the kitchen. That was my job. Built up a little bit of glamour. Built up a little bit of trust, and then ended up being a hostess, and then I was the door girl. But you're working in the nightlife, so you're
getting home at 5 a.m.
5 a.m. and then heading over to an audition at 10 a.m.
Oh my god! And it's you're doing this thing that's physical. When you're performing, it's your physical body that's your tool. You have no choice. You are showing up as yourself, but you're also showing up on 2 hours sleep, sore feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unideal.
Yeah, less than. Yeah.
Okay, so how long did that last? What was the next step? You booked a job?
I got a call from Cats.
Okay.
They desperately needed someone to step in because a girl was injured on their South Korean tour. So I worked at Mahiki for 8.5 months.
Okay.
Audition, late nights.
Yeah.
Subpar conditions.
Yeah.
But, still working and being able to kind of find my way through London. Not even £2.50 to my name, but that's a story for another day. But you can imagine the rate in which I sprinted to go and fetch my suitcase and fly over to South Korea to perform. So I did that at the end, it was kind of the beginning of 2018, end of 2017, I think, roughly. Flew over, did a couple of months in South Korea, and then came home, and it was back to square one again. Rinse and repeat, the same methods, back at the same job. But kept auditioning, and then in 2019, I booked my West End show, which was amazing. It was Joseph again.
Amazing.
How weird.
I know.
The very thing that I was and I'm done. So you can imagine, it's is this happening to me? But yeah, 2019, I found out that I was going to be on the West End, and
Amazing.
all of a sudden 2 years of hustle was way worth it.
Way worth it. It is. I like imagine. I mean, we all have them in different ways, but that moment where like nothing else actually. It's like when the sun comes out in London, and like you're like, I will take this crack.
Yeah.
Because it injects the sunshine into my veins immediately. I don't care. I just spent 6 months in the rain. Like we just forgive the weather immediately.
Yeah, you forget what it's like when it's grey.
Yeah,
the sun comes out and all of a sudden
you're like,
I love London.
This is the best place in the world.
The opportunities are endless.
I love it. I'm so glad I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I imagine it was one of those moments where you're like, okay, cool, it's beginning.
It was more a sense of like, exhale, it's gonna be okay. Yeah. I'll never forget it. My agent called me and I was in the kitchen of my uncle's apartment and I literally dramatically just fell to the floor and just sobbed.
Nice.
And he got it on camera and it's adorable and I'm really glad that I was that dramatic. But it's just one of those things where you just can't fathom how you're going to react to like literally achieving what was your life goal at that point. Like, amazing. What a cool thing. What an amazing...
Do you feel like you managed to sit in that feeling for a while?
No.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it?
Because this is I am almost convinced that performers don't actually realize, and at least when I think back on it now, you don't realize how well you're doing until you're out of it. And we forget, or at least I used to forget, that you can sit in it and you can enjoy it, but you're always thinking, oh gosh, this contract's going to end. What am I going to do next? What's my next thing? How can I keep going? How can I do more, be more?
Yeah, it's so hard.
Rather than just being like content and comfortable with where you're at, being present.
Yeah.
It's the difficult thing.
But it's also like, if you think about that timeline, if you think about like the hustle that came up to that, there's no practice in being present. So like, you know, that I think that's the thing is we all think that one thing, like, if you're bad with your finances, like a big sum of money isn't going to make you any better. It's just like going to make you for a moment think you're okay. And then, and I think we get into, although it's such a positive, obviously it's a positive trait to have that you're working hard and you're hustling and you're grinding. But I mean, the cost of that is being able to be present, which is when you, obviously hindsight's a great thing, but you want to like shake that person and be like,
and it's,
appreciate it.
I know, but it's such a fine line because I do like look at young performers and I can commend them on their like tenacity and their fire and their zest and their wanting to be more, do more, achieve more, because you do need that to some extent.
Otherwise you're not going to make it.
Exactly, but there's a fine line, and that fine line is never taught or identified or spoken about. You know,
and then unfortunately, people only realizing how successful they were in their career once it's over, which is sad. Anyway, that wasn't the end for you though. That was barely the beginning. So was Joseph still running when COVID happened? Or?
Joseph had finished.
Okay.
They had booked me for the next season, which was going to return in 2020.
Okay.
COVID then happened. I got the call saying it's not going ahead. However, we'd like to keep you for when it does eventually go ahead.
Okay.
Like Michael Harrison was our producer and they were amazing at making sure that we were looked after over that time, which was incredible.
That's incredible.
But I was really lucky, again, like the luck to get a phone call from Cats again saying Cats is going out to South Korea. Cats and Phantom are going to be the only two shows in the world that are running. We're doing a documentary. Do you want to be the resident director on it? By that point, I'd done like 6 Cats contracts and I was like, I think I know the show. So I think I am having a mild panic attack about the credit resident director, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's COVID. Give me any job will do. And off we went.
Amazing. Okay, and while all of this is happening, this is not the only thing you're doing either.
No.
So when did you start your coaching journey? Because that's not exactly a new venture either.
That was a whole long... Look, this is... And I talk about this a lot with performers, is your plan A is your performing.
Yeah.
Your plan B is the thing that you need to actually do while you're also performing, because sometimes performing doesn't pay enough and we need to have a comfortable life. But then you also need to have your plan C, which is the thing that supports your plan B when you're not doing your plan A.
Hey, exactly.
So my plan B and my plan C were working in the club, doing odd jobs here and there. And then I started dabbling in the world of coaching. So I got my PT qualification actually when I was on tour with Cats, and I literally was just studying because I was on there as a swing.
Yeah.
So I needed something to do, knew that I was going to come back to London and needed a plan B. So the coaching kind of started to come in drips and drabs, and I was always passionate about fitness and health, and then it was very much aesthetics specific. I was all about how can I look great, not how can I make sure that I'm looking after myself, which was in hindsight a massive mistake.
But it is the journey.
It is the journey. We got there in the end. But yeah, it just kind of like slowly trickled its way into my life and has now become something that's brilliant.
I must say I do, when I look at something like Bulletproof, and obviously knowing this interview, knowing your rough journey, I feel like Bulletproof is a great example of, you know, the phrase where people say like an overnight success is built over like 10 years, right? Like obviously the last couple of years have by no means been an overnight success, but for some people it might look like you just walked away from this thing and now this thing is shining, when actually like this thing has been building. She's been learning and trying things and dabbling, as you say. I mean, more than dabbling, like you were coaching relatively successfully, but you were like allowing yourself the time to learn it so that by the time it became the main thing, you were ready, which I think is, you know, I mean, especially as a performer, I think anyone in an unstable / seasonal career, it's a smart move.
Yeah, I think for years I tried to be someone that I wasn't, though. And that's why my coaching was failing time after time.
Okay.
I was trying to... When you're coaching online and you're in the fitness space, everything is about appearances, image, right? So what I was seeing...
Well, definitely 5 years ago.
Exactly.
Like it's not even that great yet, but any change and any improvement we're seeing is so new. Is so new.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking like the last 6-7 years, like it was appearance and aesthetic based.
Yeah. And, you know, then you've got the world of social media. So I was seeing social media and saying, well, I'm looking at the Kayla Itzines and the Rachel Dillons and the Lauren Simpsons of the world, and I'm thinking, oh, like that's what I need to do. That's what I need to be. I've got to appeal to the yo-yo dieter and the girl with a 9-to-5 or the moms coming back from the audacity. Like, who do I think I am, knowing what a mom with a newborn is going to feel like? Like, am I okay? Not a clue. So I was always trying to like appeal to the masses of what I was seeing on socials rather than settling into the niche a little bit more. Like, what do I actually know and understand about what it is that I do? And because there was such a gap for it, and I think there still is, at least back then I didn't know of anything that was going to support performers. It didn't occur to me until I hit rock bottom and realized, oh, that would have been a really good thing to have back then, you know? So it was a thing that was building over time. You know, I first started online coaching properly in 2019, and was, you know, I'd have like 3 clients, 4 clients. I'd beg people, please, like, let me coach you for free. Like, let me give you something for free, anything. But the business would go, poof, and then just plummet. And it wasn't until 2022, trial and error, again, came off a show. I was really, really injured, like really badly. This is probably going to be the end of my career injured. And I went in for an audition for a show that I knew I was right for and didn't book the job, which is fine. That happens. But that was the moment that I went, okay, I need to pivot. And I need to redirect. And I'll never forget it. I was lying in my bed and I just had my notebook out, which I still have. And I was just brainstorming, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make sure that how I feel, no other person's going to feel this way? Like, off a contract, burnt out, literally like...
in danger, actually. Like, this is the other thing that we don't consider, because when you're talking to like a sports person or a performer, their physical body is their job, right? Fine. But what they put their physical body through can mean that when they come out of that, they're living like a subpar life because you have either irreparable injuries, and that can really affect the rest of your life as well. I mean, also, like, some people push through extreme injuries for the sake of the show, as we know. And I mean, if I was on a show, I would do exactly the same thing, because when you love it, and that's what you've seen. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what you did really well is identify that the problem is not that performers want to work really hard and perform. The problem is that there's no support. There's no tailored support. You know, like, your problem wasn't that you performed too much. Your problem was that you weren't offered support, or there wasn't the right kind of support.
Yeah. Or maybe there is support, but I just didn't know how to look for it.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know enough about me and my body and what I needed to actually actively go out and look for that support. I couldn't identify that support was what I needed. And I think that's also the issue, is that we're not taught to start internally and to look after our nutrition. We're not taught to rest and recover, because we're always told that unless you're dying, you're doing it.
You're doing it, yeah.
And if you've done it once, you need to do it again because it wasn't good enough. Yeah. And you're taught that you're replaceable, and you're taught that you need to, like, do you know what I mean? So,
and you're super replaceable, like,
every single time.
That is, you know, the manipulation in an industry like that is crazy. And I mean, I say it's manipulation. It is also just the way the industry is.
It is,
like, you are replaceable, but it's crazy.
Yeah, and I do think, like, that it's so difficult, and I don't know if what I'm about to say is probably going to shoot me in the foot at some point in my life, but I do think that level of training does produce top quality performers.
Yeah.
But it also produces top quality performers who really struggle with their mental health.
Of course.
So it, like, in an ideal world, later down the line, I'd love to be able to have Bulletproof as something that is integrated into the college system, the schooling system. 100%. Like, you know,
100%.
We're trying, but
I mean, if we look at our college experience, there were some gaps.
Huge gaps. Let's not sugarcoat it, Kerryn. There were huge gaps.
Were fucking craters, like, in the system, because what is expected of you, and the building blocks that are given to you, what the hell?
What the helly?
What the helly? I mean, simple things, and I'm sure things are moving on and getting better, but stop shouting at me for not being able to jump. Tell me what the solution is. Like, I would have spent 6 extra hours in the gym a week doing plyometrics had I fucking known that was going to help. Instead, I spent 6 extra hours practicing the jeté sequence, getting no better.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know.
Yeah. And this is the thing that I'm finding at the moment, because I've really, really tried to book in workshops, send emails out, connect with schools and colleges, but there's actually no time in the schedule for that. And this is the biggest hurdle that I'm facing at the moment, where trying to make a change, but not being accommodated for that change to take place. You know?
And it seems like there's a similar, this is a bit different but same, like, there's a similar thing happening in the commercial Pilates world at the moment, where like people with no qualifications are running studios and teaching big groups of people, but no one really cares because the spreadsheet is working. So no one's actually that bothered that there's this big gap, because for now the studios are churning out money. That will crash because people will stop coming if they are getting hurt. It will happen, but for now. So I think a lot of these establishments, I mean, the way they work, it hasn't been prioritized, and I mean, I don't understand why. Like, why has it never been prioritized? Should I mean, obviously because there's saturation. There's so many people.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, and
so
prioritizing those things doesn't equal big successful businesses.
No.
You know, we're consumers at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So it's not cool to, I mean, I feel like the health and fitness world is changing now, for sure. Like, it's cool to recover. It's cool to look after yourself.
Yeah, but that's also only so that you can go out and buy, like, the $2,000 recovery boots. Like, let's not kid ourselves. You've been able to recover for free your whole life. Go to sleep. Like,
have a nap.
Have a nap. Like, just take the night off and have a freaking nap. You'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, I think it is changing. I do agree with you there. But it's also, like, it is still consumer driven.
Yeah.
Like, strap your nose. Just breathe through your nose. It's fine.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah. I think it'll always be that way.
Yeah. Well, it will. I mean, look, we're not going to change society, but as someone who went through the theatre school system and never managed to book a job, I also know that there were many factors. It will never just be one. But like my training failed me. My establishment failed me in giving me the best foot forward. Do you know what I mean? Like it probably still would have never equated to success, but it definitely wasn't like if I was building a system, I'd build it differently,
right?
Which is exactly what you've done. I mean, if we can get it into the right place, then that's great. But
yeah, it's a goal. It'll happen with time, surely.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
I mean, do you think that younger performers in your experience at the moment, like, are they more interested in looking after themselves?
They are hungry for it.
Okay,
they're hungry for it. And look,
that makes me happy to hear.
Yeah, because, and I really hope it still stays this way. And again, without like coming across a certain type of way, this has become the thing that's cool, right? Like when you see performers who are doing well and who are booking jobs and are working on the West End and look great, dance great, feel great, and are successful, that becomes the thing that is
that people want.
Yeah. and they want those things. So they're going, okay, what are those people doing? And those people are on the Bulletproof program, or they're being coached by one of my coaches, and that then becomes the thing that is cool because the people that they look up to are doing those things.
It becomes your best investment,
yeah.
Right?
But again, the biggest issue that they're faced with is, but I'm adding then another thing into my already jam-packed timetable, and the questions that I get asked are, how do I do it all?
How do I do it all? Yeah.
And the answer is you can't. Something's got to give. And what ends up happening is that the thing that gives is either your mental health or it's your recovery.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to be really specific with all of our clients especially who are in training, who are so malleable and also very volatile at this point in their training career. Like, we have to take a look at it and go, right, are you navigating sleep and nutrition first above all else? Because if you're not, you're already failing.
Yeah.
Right? And if we can't grasp that, everything else is just going to snowball, and eventually you're going to burn out at the end of your first or second year. And you're not going to make it to third year in one piece.
No.
And then they go, panic. Okay, well, I should either just keep going or I should stop. And that's where having a coach is really important, because we're able to sit down and go, and it's different for everyone. Like some performers, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm going to do the program. Yeah, I'm going to be in jazz 72 times a week and then do 4 hours of ballet at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. And those people thrive.
Yeah.
They go and they do it. But that's where it's individual.
Yeah,
and you have
100%.
to be able to understand the individual and go, what do you need? How can I take care of you? Because no one else is going to.
And honestly, like if you are, as Talia said, like in that beginning phase of your training and your career, you're in the pits of your training, actually, like you've probably put your faith in the establishment and in the industry, and the industry does not have your back, whereas a coach and something like Bulletproof does have your back. And that, you need that. You need an experienced eye going, I know it feels like right now the most important thing is to go to that like extra choreography class, but honestly, the most important thing is probably for you to just cook 3 nights worth of dinner and, do your
Go to bed
mobility
early.
and then go to bed.
Have a hot bath if you've got one.
Don't skip those steps. Okay, so let's talk about Bulletproof itself. So I imagine you're obviously dealing with super busy and physical individuals, as in their job is physical, right? So how does the program balance to that? Because let me give you some context in how why I'm asking it this way, is because I see a lot of people who are starting from zero and then started to work with just a baseline coach who's tried to take them from 0 to 100, which as we know doesn't work. And then I've also worked with people who are either athletes or already quite busy and therefore really resistant to any kind of work, because they're like my tradie partner, for example, he's like, I lift things at work all the time. I'm like, you literally have a bulge disc though, so first of all, you do still need to do some exercise. You know what I mean? So how have you found? Obviously, I think performers they're already working hard. do you find it like difficult to slow them down or difficult to push them into the gym, or?
I think both. A big part of my job is people management.
Okay.
And
persona management, I imagine.
Ego management.
Ooh, yeah,
it's a big one. It's a huge one.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to be the type of person who is good at understanding how to navigate people. And it all comes from removing ego. I think ego is such a thing that can literally make or break you as a person. You know, low ego is going to be something that, and low self-esteem is going to be something that can crush you, but so can an astronomically large ego. So I think it's all about just understanding how is this person coming to me? How can I meet them where they're at? And then understand how to manage it. So I kind of get two sides of the spectrum, where I get people who are starting from ground zero, where they are overwhelmed by everything and anything. Okay. And I'm talking like people who are first year in college that are overwhelmed, but also like seasoned professionals who are in some, like I've got clients who are in huge shows, Wicked, Moulin Rouge, Back to the Future, everything that's currently on the West End at the moment, but don't know how to get into a gym. Yeah. So you've got someone who is incredible at what they do, but doesn't know how to navigate training outside of that, which is okay. That's where I come in.
Yeah, of course.
But then I also get people whose egos are through the roof that don't trust me to be able to guide them in the right direction. And as soon as there's that broken trust, or as soon as there isn't that trust,
yeah, if there's no trust, it's over.
It's a slippery slope. But I also have no problem turning around and going,
if you don't trust me.
No, but also if you know better, then please go ahead. But don't waste your own money here.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Because if you know better, then go forth and conquer, my angel. It doesn't bother me.
Isn't that an incredible space to be in, considering when you started your coaching business, you were like,
begging,
how can I mold to like whatever this person wants from me? And now you're at a point where you're like, I know what my expertise are. If you don't, I'm not going to beg you to trust me. I'm not going to sort of argue with you to rate what I'm doing.
But in the same breath, like a lot of my clients teach me a lot of things, because
of course, yeah.
I think we're never going to stop learning.
No.
Right. So
and learning about people. It's the Pandora's box, right? Because everyone is different, and every moment in time that you meet them is different. And
every single client that I work with that's currently like with me on a one-to-one basis is teaching me something about the industry, about health, because I want to be able to take someone that I'm working with and immerse myself wholeheartedly in what it is that they do and who they are, so that they succeed through the programming that I'm providing. Because if they win, then I win at the end of the 100%. Day, right? And that's where the mutual working relationship comes in. So I think people are eager to get to the final destination, but it's that resistance to the journey, and the kind of like stickiness that comes within the growth and the setbacks, and that I like to like chewing the glass or chewing the fat, however you
itchy feeling,
it's yuck sometimes, or it's tedious.
Nice.
But there's always going to be that moment where it's hard, and then all of a sudden you just catapult.
When that momentum changes, I talk about that a lot with my pain recovery clients, you know, because it's a cycle going this way the whole time. Like you move a little bit, you're sore, you don't want to move anymore. You have to move a little bit, you're sore, you don't want to move anymore. And then all of a sudden you move a little bit, you're not as sore. And you move some more, and it just, you know, and then it spirals around to the other side. But no one knows how long, you know, which one's going to take. So you sit in that for a long time. But
I love there's the quote where it's like, if you knew that you were only 100 failures from success.
Yeah, wouldn't you just be so excited to keep going?
Exactly. Yeah. But it's that
you don't know where the turning point will be. But
daunting.
I mean, I feel like I think for you definitely, and hopefully for the members, you know, the clients of Bulletproof. Well, how exciting to have someone like you on that journey, because I'm sure you remember this, like, it's a lonely ass journey, especially if you're struggling.
Yeah.
And you like are throwing things at the wall and nothing's sticking, and something sticks a bit and then it doesn't. And then you're back to the drawing board, and like, you know, I just don't think there's any better investment than like the right niche coach.
I agree.
For you.
And look, like, that's what makes us different, is that there is so much relatability between coach and client. Like whether you're working with me, with Talia, with Aveen, with Kerryn, like we've got a whole variety of coaches who have gone through different walks of life who are going to be able to relate to our clients in some way, shape, or form. And like any coach can give you a program, any dietitian or nutritionist can give you a nutrition plan, any psychologist can help you with your mental health, right? If you do something for long enough, or if you commit to it and you give your whole self to it. But it's a very, very special thing where you find that beautiful mutual working relationship between coach and client.
Yeah.
Where you can relate.
You want to feel sort of like, you want to feel seen and like that is for you, which only really happens if you can see yourself and that person in the same room, on the same space. I mean, there's many, even just in the well-being space, there's many coaches that like I think are excellent, but I'd probably never want to work with because I don't believe that they could ever understand, you know, what I'm actually dealing with when I say this is my schedule, and you kind of get like that generic answer that is kind of understanding but still not really understanding, and immediately you're just thinking, okay, this is not going to mold. And, you know, already then there's that, whereas, you know, it sounds like you've put together an incredible team.
Oh, my team's amazing.
And they are, you know, they've walked the walk. They've jeté the jeté.
They have jeté the jeté. And I will, like, hand on my heart, scream it from the rooftops, it is not a one-man job.
No, of course.
Like, my coaches, my behind-the-scenes team, the development team that runs the app, the social media team, the sales team, like, everyone just cares. And it makes the world of difference when you work with good people who just want great results and just want to be able to help.
I love
like,
that.
Oh my gosh, can't fault them. Game changer.
I love that.
It's just a beautiful thing to witness and be a part of, for sure.
Amazing. It sounds like you definitely have your hands full with running Bulletproof and everything else that life, you know, throws at you. So obviously here at The Simple Fix, I'm all about like cutting through a little bit of the noise. So I'm not going to ask you for your 12-step morning routine pre 5 a.m. because I'm hoping you really don't have one.
I don't.
But if you look at, you know, everything you've learned that's brought you up until this point, if you could simplify keeping yourself, you know, like mentally nice and clear, physically nice and healthy, and in a position where you can enjoy your life, if there are a couple non-negotiables for you, what are things that you like definitely implement, if you can, every day?
I mean, talking about morning routines, I think that is probably my first thing. Okay. Coming from a world, again, where it was the alarm goes off at 4 a.m., you've had little to no sleep, you're out the door by 4:30, opening up a gym and teaching a class where you're yelling at people. Like, that is no longer the life I choose. And look, we don't all have the luxury, right, to have to remove that. But a morning routine in some capacity that is simplified. Starting my day with stillness is like, even if it's just 5 minutes and you don't have to like sit down and make it deep, like just be still. That alarm goes off and you don't check your phone. You just lie in bed and you exist. Or you romanticize your morning by the alarm goes off, the coffee, the frothy, the sitting in bed. Like, let me just open up a window and get some fresh air on my face. Like, those moments are so important because they set you up on the front end of the day to go,
amazing. Yeah.
What do I want from my day today? And how can I go forward with clarity, knowing that that's what I want to do? So that for me has been something that I've gradually learned how to implement. And it was very, very difficult from the beginning. And my flatmate and my best friend always laughs at me because she's like, oh my gosh, sometimes you just wake up and choose violence. And I literally always would, because that's the only life that I know.
The only thing you know.
Like, I wake up and now I'm just arriving and it's amazing. And if I don't do anything, then my life's going to stop.
Yeah.
And it's about learning how to sit in the stillness that I think has been such a game changer for my mentals, but also for my productivity, right? Because you're able to just compartmentalize and go, hello, morning, body, how are we? How's things going? And then, you know,
and then start.
You go about your day.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that because we think like more is more the whole time. Actually, like, you're so right. If you can just calibrate, you have a clearer direction, your productivity is way higher and you're happier.
But that also translates into so many other areas of your life. Like my stepdad would always say, if I was ever stressed or overwhelmed, and more often than not these days, it's like business specific rather than like, I got rejected from a show again. But just take a bird's eye view of your life, because it's when you're able to remove yourself from the chaos, you actually are able to kind of see things a lot more clear. It's when we're in it and we're stuck in it and it's noise and it's clutter and it's, constant just chaos. Everything is going to be overwhelming, but you need to just be able to find a way to compartmentalize and remove yourself from it. That's really important.
And essentially, by giving yourself some stillness in the morning, you're allowing for some perspective, even if it's just perspective over that day. Which is amazing. Okay.
So that's a big one. And then removing the pressure of movement. And I'll be specific with this because as a fitness professional, we see movement and the general public says movement is going to the gym. Movement is lifting weights, or it's running on a treadmill, or it's going to a HIIT class. And it's that classic stuff that you see all the time where, again, more is more. But by removing the pressure of movement, I go for more walks. Movement is sometimes like, I'm just going to lie on the floor and I'm just going to see what happens to my body. I'm just going to lie here and I'm going to do a leg swing. I'm going to roll up and roll down, move through my spine, hang upside down. How can I reduce the pressure of movement? So sometimes that looks like going to the gym and lifting weights 3 days a week, where it used to be 6 days a week that are doubled up as HIIT sessions as well. So it's like, find a way to move that makes you feel good mentally as well as physically. So a lot more walking for me. That's my, if I don't get outside and walk in some capacity, no bueno. So that's a big one for me.
I love that. It's so good to hear, because again, we're in an industry that wants to sell you one thing, and it wants to sell you a lot of that one thing. And it wants to make you feel like you're not achieving your goals if you're not, doing this one thing. And there's so much out there, and your system needs balance. Okay, I like that. Remove the pressure.
Yeah. And then I think my last one, that it's kind of like a little bit of like two sides to the same coin, but it's about learning how to say no, but also being okay with saying yes. And what I mean by that is I would say yes to helping people all the time, to going out until 5 a.m., to giving myself for free, to pushing myself in a direction that I didn't really want to go down, or being surrounded by friends who are energy drainers rather than, cup fillers. And by saying no and being okay with saying no, you give yourself more opportunity to say yes to things that are going to fill up your cup. So saying yes to something that you've never done before, saying yes to a person that you maybe don't really know that well, but it's going to open up an opportunity for you to have a great conversation, or booking that holiday, or doing that thing that scares you. So being able to identify when the right time is to say no and when the right time is to say yes, and having the power to say no to things that don't serve you, again, a world of opportunity ends up opening up. Freedom, stillness, the ability to just be okay with you as an individual is huge for me.
That's amazing. What I love about all of those is that none of that is actually going to cost you any money. It's not going to...
Free $99.
It is not going to require a matching set.
Nope.
It is not going to, it's just literally strip it back and put in some good practices. Amazing. So, a little bit of a fun one. What would you describe, if you could choose one word to put
I'm already scared.
One word to put into sort of the next year that you are this is what I want from the next, if something could manifest, is there are you in a building phase? Are you in a settling phase? Are you in a more balanced phase? Where are you right now?
I'm in between balance and change.
Okay.
So contrasting, so confusing, Talia. What do you mean? Balance in terms of finding that work-life balance, right?
Okay.
Being a business owner, coming from the world, again, of performing where everything is in extremes, right? I need to learn how to find balance between my professional life and my personal life. So that's a big one that's starting to come into play. But change, because I've just got my green card, and I'm about to finally be able to go and live with my husband in America.
Amazing.
So that's a big element of change for me that's coming into play, and being okay with that. Like I used to thrive off change, but now that my business is so set up in the UK, oh gosh, what does that mean for it?
It becomes scary, doesn't it? Yeah.
So just being able to sit in those two things and be okay with them, I think, is an exciting challenge for the year.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Talia, thank you so much. I feel like we could keep chatting forever.
For years.
I'll have to definitely have you back.
Yes.
But thank you so much. Just so incredible to hear about all the little bits and how they fall in. I think sometimes, as you say, perspective-wise, a lot of us, when we're in the thick of it within our lives, so whether it's because right now you're thinking about different careers, or whether you're trying to like decide what you want the next move to be, just like life-wise, we always feel the sense of like we're the only ones not knowing what the next thing is. We're the only ones this is happening to. We feel really alone in it. And I think when you unpack anyone's story, I think a lot of the time everyone's story who likes to talk about their story sounds like really linear and successful, and you're like, oh, how did all those dominoes fall immediately? So it's so nice to like hear from a successful female business owner who's literally just had such a complex journey, but it's also great to see those thread throughs, you know. And as you say, like if you're not disciplined enough with yourself to find stillness when you need it, then you rob yourself of the opportunities that could come from that.
Oh, beautifully said. Yeah.
And, you know, I think also something we've spoken about sort of off the podcast a few times is like when you are in a certain habit, a certain industry, a certain sort of like you're on a certain setting, you struggle to give yourself permission to come off that setting. You know, you struggle to go, okay, cool, I want this to be a balanced phase versus a hustle phase. I want this to be consolidation, you know, like this is working for me. Can I sit in it and not just think about what's more? Yeah, it's hard. It's such a journey.
It is, but I think that's what makes people so intricate and beautiful, is that we're always a perfect contradiction, and you can be more than one thing. You can be outgoing, but you can also be someone who loves to just curl up on the sofa at the end of the day and not speak to anyone. You can be a fitness enthusiast, but oh my gosh, do we love sleeping in until 10 a.m. on a Sunday? 100%. Like there's versions of ourselves that exist in every avenue of life and in all worlds. And I think the more you give yourself grace, the more you're able to kind of open yourself up to those things and be okay with where you are in whatever space. But you just have to give yourself permission.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this conversation has given you permission. And if you are a performer, make sure to check out Bulletproof. It is in the show notes. Okay, check out Talia. It is an incredible program to be part of. If you're a performer, it is the missing link to your success. Talia, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it around, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yes.